More than just business news, we're news for business people.
Good morning and thanks for choosing Bloomberg Quint this Tuesday morning. You're watching Daybreak and I'm Alex Matthew. First, let's look at the headlines. Asian markets head higher, taking a cue from a strong close on Wall Street. The Nikkei heads over 2.2% higher in early trade. The US Pharma watchdog makes procedural observations on Sun Pharma's Halol plant, just like Bloomberg Quint had reported yesterday. The RBI will inject up to 1 lakh crore into the banking system over March to address additional demand for liquidity. And the central bank imposes penalties on Axis Bank and Indian Overseas Bank for violations of non-performing asset classification norms and KYC norms, respectively. Let's look at the international markets, and the US stock markets rallied strongly on Monday as fears of a global trade war ebbed or faded somewhat, with investors betting that the US President Donald Trump would back down from his threat to impose hefty tariffs on steel and aluminium imports. Bloomberg's Abigail Doolittle wraps up all the action on Wall Street in this report.
There was a bullish reversal in Monday's Wall Street session that resulted in greater than 1% gains for the Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ. Now, this rally was a reversal of declines earlier in the session, plus last week there were big losses for the major averages, but on the day, reversing that to some degree, this is the Dow climb for the first day in 5. Now, some traders are saying this may have to do with reduced possibilities of an all-out trade war, but whatever the source of the bullish reversal, it did produce a broad-based rally, with all 11 of the S&P 500 sectors trading higher on the close. Now, among the top gainers, XL Group up on a $15.3 billion takeover bid from Axis, something that sent the insurance company shares up 29% for the best day since 2009. In fact, the financials overall were very strong. That was one of the top sectors, also being helped by Bank of America, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs. And the FANG trade tech was another strong sector. Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Alphabet all climbing more than 1%, while Netflix up nearly 5%, this on bullish analyst commentary. And another big gainer on the day, looking outside of stocks, Bitcoin. The cryptocurrency was up more than 4%, back above $11,000 per Bitcoin. So overall, there was a risk-on tone in Monday's Wall Street session, confirmed by the fact that Haven bonds, the yen, and gold all sold off. In New York, Abigail Doolittle, Bloomberg News.
And that's clearly extended to Asian markets this morning, with the Nikkei, in fact, leading the gains in early trade. It was up 2.2%. It's since then given up some of those gains. It's now just about 2% higher. And in fact, let's go across right now to Bloomberg's Rosalind Chin for all the live updates from the Asian markets. Morning, Rosalind, and over to you.
Well, it does look like a very different picture from this time yesterday in the session, where we're seeing mostly red on our boards right now. In fact, the MSCI Asia Pacific Index is trading up by about 1.5%. I suppose you could call it, in some ways, a bit of a rally, as investors sort of start seeing these Trump trade tariffs as something of more of a political sideshow, a political show, as the billionaire hedge fund owner Ray Dalio called it, rather than policies that may actually get driven through. And of course, we've also been hearing from House Speaker Paul Ryan and also corporate America urging the White House not to go through with these tariffs. And so I guess investors are seeing a little bit of a possibility that the tariffs may not be as onerous as they had initially thought. So we're seeing the Nikkei up by 2.24%. The Topix up by about 1.9% at this hour. The yen's pretty steady now, but it did drop earlier on as concerned eased about those tariffs. So we're seeing it at 106.34 at this particular moment in time. We're seeing the Topix actually rising for the first time now in 5 sessions. In South Korea, similar story, up by 1.4%. We had some data early with CPI up by 0.8% month on month versus estimates of 0.5%, and core consumer prices increasing 1.2% year on year. Hong Kong, Shanghai, of course, just getting out of the gate. Hong Kong up by about 1.9% right now. Shanghai Composite up by about 0.33%. So a bit of a bounce back there from Hong Kong, especially because that was actually leading the declines yesterday. Australia also a turnaround for the S&P ASX 200. Energy stocks, also materials there, the sectors leading those gains. Aussie holding near a 2-month low, though, before the central bank decision. The RBA is forecast to hold its main cash rate unchanged at 1.5% today. That will be happening in the later hours, and I'm sure we'll give you an update of what that move will be later in the day. Back to you.
Thanks so much for that, Rosalind. Let's turn to the Indian markets now, and Darshan Mehta is here to tell you all that you need to know going to trade today. Morning, Darshan. From the overseas cues, it seems positive for the Indian market.
Yeah, it is, and the SGX Nifty is indicating a positive outlook. It's trading up almost 65 points above the 10,400 mark in trade. So trade actually looks decent at this point of time. If you're looking at how the ADRs also panned out in trade, not a bad close for most of the ADRs, because Infosys, Wipro, ICICI Bank managed to rally. Tata Motors seems to be having problem of its own. Yesterday also in India, it was down at a 52-week low, again down 2.5%. So there seems to be weakness that's coming in Tata Motors. The other ADRs ended with a negative bias for HDFC Bank, Dr. Reddy's and Vedanta. So that's the ADR picture as of now. Now, if you're looking at what happened with crude had a big rally yesterday. Crude was up over 2%. Even in morning trade, it's trading up almost 0.3%. So you can see Brent crude is above the $65 barrel per mark, and WTI is closing in on the $63 barrel per mark. Not the best of close as far as the LME was concerned, because quite a few of them ended with a negative bias. So if you can see, aluminium was flat in trade. Zinc saw a downtick of almost 1.6%. Lead was down almost 0.9%, close to 1%, and slight positive close coming in from tin. But if you're looking at China, there seems to be concern as far as zinc is concerned, because zinc is trading down over 2%. Steel is trading down over 2%. The other metals seem to be trading pretty flat at this point of time. Positive cues coming in from the precious metal, gold, silver, platinum, and palladium, all of them trading with a positive bias. Now, how have fund flows panned out in trade, given the fact that the markets are extremely weak? Again, yesterday both FIs and DIs were net sellers in the market. 370 crores of net selling by FIs and 150 crores of net selling by DIs. So that's the view that's coming in. Now, in terms of what happened with the mid caps and small cap, close to a 1% cut coming in both on the mid cap and small cap. The Nifty Bank was down 83%, recovered significantly from the lows of the day. Now, in terms of one sector, which the Nifty metal was the sector that you had to watch out for, recovery in the PSU banks, but the metal sector, because of all the Trump trade was down almost 3.5%. All the major metal stocks losing in trade. Oil and auto seem to be trading rather weak. Auto being dragged down by the weakness that we're seeing in Tata Motors. Now, how did the Nifty pan out in trade? The wicks actually surged 10% in trade, given the fact that there was significant amount of volatility that happened in the market. Now, if you're looking at the Nifty was down 100 points. What contributed? Reliance, HDFC, Tata Motors, and ITC were the major contributors. Reliance solely responsible for 20% of the Nifty fall. What gained? Some of the IT stocks. TCS did well. Sun Pharma could again rally because the observations are out. Tech Mahindra and M&M managed to move up in trade. So that's what happened with with the SGX, with the Nifty itself. As far as the F&O scene is concerned, let's see how that panned out in trade. The Nifty was rather weak in trade. If you're looking at what happened with the Nifty saw fresh shorts. Open interest build-up was 3%, trading at a premium of 6 points. The Bank Nifty managed to recover significantly from the lows of the day. Nevertheless, it still had fresh short positions built into it. Open interest build-up was up almost 0.14%. The VIX was up 10%, so that was the big move that came in. Apart from it, if you're looking at the other factors, let's see where the open interest build-up is there. So 10,400 firmly continues to be defended by the put. So this is the big support level for the market. But still, call writers are very, very active at 10. So the 10,300 to 10,500 is the broad range that we're looking at the Nifty. Now, in terms of where were positions taken yesterday, since the Nifty was down almost 100 points, you can see that put writers, call writers must be much more active. So yesterday, the big move coming in on the 10,400 mark. So call writers believe, or the bears believe, that even 10,400 will be taken out by big force, and put writers were shedding positions, and they are writing in at levels of 10,100 and 10,200. So nevertheless, despite a 60-point SGX Bank Nifty, the trade setup looks weak at this point of time. In terms of the PCR, again the PCR is falling both for the Nifty and Bank Nifty because put writers are shedding position or hardly writing, and call writers are much more active, indicating that the bearish stance is still there in the market. Mindtree saw fresh buying on open interest build up of 10%. Apart from it, the other stocks in focus is BEML because of the news of 26% divestment, managed to surge almost 10%. You had Indian Bank, which saw long unwinding their fresh short positions on open interest build up of 12%. The other factors are Piramal Enterprises, big drop on a high open interest build up of 8%. And you had counters like Fortis Healthcare, which saw short covering that came in. It's in the FNO ban, so positions can't be taken. And even IDBI is in the FNO ban. Fresh positions can't be taken. But that is why you could see short covering that came in into IDBI also.
All right, Darshan, thanks so much for that. Let's take a check on the rupee and the bond market now. And Saloni Dhanuka joins us on the show. Saloni, morning.
Good morning, Alex. So the rupee was tracking gains in the Asian currency market yesterday, and it settled by a marginal 5 paise higher at 65.12 levels against the dollar. Now remember, the home currency touched an intraday high of 64.93 levels a dollar in the early trade. However, it wiped off all its gain as local equities fell on global cues. Weaker dollar overseas predominantly helped the rupee end marginally higher. UCO Bank Elsewhere, UCO Bank expects rupee to weaken by to 65.50 levels by end of this March 2018. Well, moving on to debt market, sovereign bonds yesterday declined as yields on the new 10-year benchmark security ended higher by 4 basis points at 7.78%. Well, on the global front, Asian currencies were trading higher with Japanese yen and Chinese renminbi gaining the most. Well, speaking of the dollar index, it ended 0.2% higher, well above the 90 mark. However, it now trades below the 90 mark near 89.90 levels in the early Asian hours. And lastly, coming back home, dollar rupee is trading at 64.98 levels against the dollar in the non-deliverable forward market, which indicates a positive opening for Indian rupee in today's trade, Alex.
Thanks so much for that, Saloni. Shifting focus to the commodity space now, and Jayesh Kirnani has all the updates in that market. Morning, Jayesh.
Morning, Alex. Let me start off with crude oil prices, which actually rallied overnight and gained the most in about 2 weeks. So WTI was up more than 2% and Brent also surged as much as 2%. Now, this is all on the back of inventory data that we are expecting, and also some of the key storage hubs where the inventory has been shrinking. So the stockpiles in Cushing and Oklahoma have already reached to the lowest level since 2014. And as per a Bloomberg survey, the US crude oil inventory is likely to rise by 2.5 million barrels for last week. So those are the cues that we are picking up for the oil markets. But as far as the base metals are concerned, we had a weak close for most of the base metals on the London Metal Exchange, where the index actually declined or closed lower for the 5th consecutive session. Zinc was in focus, which was the top loser, and declined nearly 2%. Now, this is on the back of once again inventory data that has surged. So after the 2017 rally, zinc prices are currently trading lower for the year. And also the inventory data that has actually risen for the most since 1989. So that's a negative coming in for the zinc market. As far as other base metals are concerned, we had aluminium, nickel and lead, which posted losses on the London Metal Exchange, and copper and tin advanced on the London Metal Exchange. Now, zinc particularly, we were mentioning that has opened negative on the Shanghai Futures Exchange by about 2%. As far as gold prices are concerned, we saw some volatility has come back to the gold market, with the 30-day volatility climbing at the 1-year high and prices stabilizing around the 1325 mark.
Thanks, Jayesh, for that. Now, in the PNB fraud case, the Central Bureau of Investigation on Monday said that the fraudulent use of letters of understanding by Nirav Modi and his uncle Mehul Choksi had been going on since 2010. Now, the CBI is building its case, and here's a report on all the updates from that case by Charlene D'Souza.
The CBI court has remanded the 4 arrested in the 12,700 crore PNB fraud case till 17th of March. Now, 3 of the people arrested by CBI are from Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi companies, while 1 is an auditor from audit firm CA firm Sampath and Mehta. The Auditors Council argued that he had alerted the income tax authorities of these unsecured loans, and he was already cooperating with the investigating agencies, because of which he need not be taken into police custody for custody till the 17th of March. The CBI court, however, said that the custodial interrogation is necessary as the investigating officer needs a fair chance to investigate the matter thoroughly. The special court also sent Vipul Ambani, Kavita Mankikar, Arjun Patil, Kapil Khandelwal, Nitin Shahi, Rajesh Shahi to judicial custody.
Moving on to the confirmation of what Bloomberg Quint had reported yesterday, the 3 observations on Sun Pharma's Halol unit have been uploaded on the website of the US FDA. The observations, like Bloomberg Quint had reported, are procedural in nature and don't point to data integrity issues. Darshan Mehta is here to tell you what that means for the company. Darshan?
Yeah, so it means that, the problem seems to be getting over for Sun Pharma. Obviously, the US FDA emailed us the Form 483, which we've put out and analyzed. Now, in terms of, there are 3 observations, and this is the first observation. They talk about separate or defined areas to prevent contamination in terms of operation. So basically, there are a couple of points which they point out as far as this observation is concerned, mainly procedural in nature. They talk about cracked or uneven surfaces which are causing problem. There is cleaning difficulty due to rough surface areas, difficult to clean equipment, difficult to clean sealing. They are saying there is problem with airflow studies, which might actually require a little bit of effort from Sun Pharma, because what it says that an airflow flows from A to B, it cannot flow back from area B to A, but that was happening. So again, they will have to do some test post the remediation and show it to the US FDA. And contact plate monitoring for operations, there was a lot of movement among peoples at a certain time and area. Contact plates should have been used, and that was not done. The second one is pretty much this is the quote that they have given in terms of the observation. Basically, again points out that the written procedures for cleaning and equipment is not there. They are saying it is necessary for cleaning and maintenance. So this again is something that can be easily solved. Basically, equipment is not installed and maintained as per written procedures, and unclean gaskets. So these are the 2 points that they point out in this observation. The third observation also talks about lack of written procedures as far as sampling of some of the drugs are concerned, approval and rejections of some products and containers is concerned. This is also procedural in nature. What they're saying is that the written procedure for vials is not proper in there, and there is failure without initiating investigation. So that is something that they're talking about in terms of equipment, but that can be actually taken care of easily. Now, what does this Form 483 show? First of all, there are no data integrity issues here, which is a big positive for Sun Pharma. Secondly, is that the US FDA may again not have to re-inspect the Halol plant. That is what a couple of GMP experts and the Credit Suisse note that came out, and there is a high clearance within the next 4 to 6 months, and the warning letter may be lifted as per them. Observation 2 and 3 are procedural in nature, so they will not require something rocket science. They can easily come in, but they will need to address the media fill validation and airflow. So this is something that needs to be done. And finally, FDA may review smoke screen test post the remediation. So overall, if you're looking at what has happened, it seems that this time around Sun Pharma will be third time lucky.
All right, looks like that's clearly a stock, Darshan, that we'll have to watch out for on trade today. For all the other stocks that are going to be buzzing on account of being in the news, here Shraddha Babla with the stocks in news. Shraddha, morning.
Morning, Alex. So first off, we're watching ICICI Lombard. Now, this is on the back of a Times of India report which says that Westbridge Capital, a Prudential consortium along with Premji Investments, and thirdly ICICI Lombard, all of these 3 have emerged as the top contenders for acquiring Star Health and Allied Insurance, which could be valued at close to $1 billion. Now, ICICI Lombard's cash cum stock offer is set to be the highest. Also, according to an ET report, the arbitration Arbitration Court has barred Reliance Communications from selling any assets without permission, and they have set 9th June as the next date for hearing on the Ericsson plea. Now, this could act as a blow to Arcom's efforts to pay debts by March end under the plan which was approved earlier by its lender. So watch out for that stock. HDFC's QIP closed yesterday, where the company managed to raise close to 1,900 crores at a price of 1,825, which was also the floor price that was set for the QIP issue. You have RBI imposing a 3 crore penalty on Axis Bank for non-compliance of NPA classification norms, and they've also imposed a 2 crore penalty on Indian Overseas Bank for non-compliance of KYC norms. A few months back, remember, they had imposed a similar penalty of 6 crores on Yes Bank and IDFC Bank as well. So RBI action for some of these stocks. And lastly, Ramco Cements will acquire a clinker grinding unit from Ramco Industries for 17 crores. So those are some of the names to watch today.
Thanks so much for that, Shraddha. Now, Air Arabia has ruled out any move to buy into debt-laden national carrier Air India. Speaking to Bloomberg Quint, the airline's CEO Adel Abdullah Ali says that the deal does not make sense as Air India Express is not on the table. He says that it won't help Air Arabia's business as Air India is a conventional or full-service airline and not a budget carrier. Listen in.
We're very happy to start operation to 13 airports. Something that back in 2005 we said that we make sure we connect people between all the smaller airports and the metros in India to UAE. And we've done that, and I think the public has benefited from, and we as an airline has benefited on both sides.
We have the Indian government which has put Air India on the divestment as a airline from the Middle East. Have you looked at Air India, and how does it fit into your entire scheme of plan as far as synergies are concerned? And if it doesn't, why do you think it doesn't fit?
Well, simply to our understanding that the government of India's announcement was they wished that Air India is on the offer, but Air India Express is still retained by the government. Our business is a low-cost business model. Air India is a conventional airline. So the two business models are very, very different, and this is why it doesn't fit.
And if at all, if the government plans to bring out Air India Express as part of the divestment, will you be interested in it?
Well, I guess it's a hypothetical question, because at the moment it's not on the table. Once that decision is made, if it's ever makes, then one would think about it. But at the moment, it's not on the offer.
Well, that's the word coming in from Air Arabia. But Somit Sarkar is standing by with the big brokerage calls of the day. Morning, Somit, and over to you.
Good morning, Alex. On the big brokerage calls for the day, first we have is JP Morgan on Bharat Electronics Limited. Now, the brokerage has initiated coverage on the stock with the overweight rating and a target price of 185. Now, BEL is India's leading manufacturer of defense electronics, supported by country's growing capital outlay on defense and on focus on import substitution and modernization. Now, along with this, sizable non-defense and export opportunity could also augment future growth for the company. Now, the company has a current order book of close to 40,500 crore rupees, which is nearly 4 times its last 12 months sales, thereby providing a good growth visibility for the company. Now, according to the brokerage, the company's valuations are highly correlated with the order inflows, and the company is close to win 2 big orders of worth 6,000 crore each. Now, going forward, share buybacks will improve company's return on equity and the cash yield. Now, BL has a cash of close to 3,500 crore rupees, and according to the brokerage, a buyback of 500 crore rupees improves the company's return on equity by around 100 basis points. Lastly, it expects the company's revenue, EBITDA and net profit to grow at a compounded annual growth rate of 13%, 15% and 17% over FY18 to FY20. Second, we have is HSBC on Godrej Properties. Now, the brokerage has maintained its buy rating but has raised the target price to 825 from 750. Now, according to the brokerage, portfolio addition have remained strong for the company, as the company has added nearly 15 new projects in the last 12 months. Now, along with this, quarterly sales momentum has doubled over the last 1 year. Even on this heightened sales momentum, the project addition rate has been exceeding that of sales, thereby creating a strong pipeline for much higher sales trajectory in future. Lastly, it says that the company has reduced its cost of borrowings by 120 basis points in the last 1 year, thereby supporting its bottom line.
Thanks for that, Somit. Now, superstar Rajinikanth on Monday invoked the legacy of late AIADMK founder M.G. Ramchandran, saying he was confident of providing good administration just like the late actor. In his first public address since he entered politics in December, Rajni said that Tamil Nadu faced a leadership vacuum post the demise of former Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha and also on account of the deteriorating health of DMK chief M. Karunanidhi. His intention, he said, is to fill that vacuum. Now, there's clearly lots to talk about over the course of the day, and you'll find all the live market action right here on Bloomberg Quint. That's Bloomberg Quint Live. There are also several stories that you should consider reading on the website bloombergquint.com, and here are just a couple of them. India ranks 9th on the list of trading partners that run a trade surplus with the US. It exports more to the US than it imports. China, Mexico and Japan lead the list, and even Vietnam runs a higher surplus against the US than India does. That's according to US government data. Rahul Gandhi has said the Congress is committed to winning back the people's trust. This after his party was defeated in the recent assembly polls in 3 northeast states. The Congress president hit out at the BJP, accusing it of usurping power through proxy in Meghalaya and also using big money to create an opportunistic alliance. Now, after a Pakistani chaiwala gained global fame and recognition, another one in India has also started making headlines, but for reasons that are completely different. Navnath Yevle, who is an owner of a tea house in Pune, has been garnering a lot of interest after his monthly earning was revealed to be around 12 lakh rupees.
चाय में कोई नाम नहीं है या ब्रांड नहीं है, तो चाय पीने वाले तो बहुत सारे लोग हैं, लेकिन जैसा उनको मिलना चाहिए चाय वैसा टेस्ट चाय को नहीं मिलता है। तो हमने बेसिकली उसमें 4 साल स्टडी किया और एक क्वालिटी फाइनल करके अभी हम एक चाय को एक बड़ा ब्रांड बनाने के लिए निकले पड़े हैं। बेसिकली अमृत तुल्य की जो चाय है, जहाँ पे लोग मतलब एक बड़ा सा भगोना लेके वो चाय घूटते रहते हैं, लेकिन हमने थोड़ा सा मॉडर्न लुक देके हमारे जो वर्कर है उनको भी अच्छा सा ड्रेस वगैरह देके, ताकि लोगों को भी यहाँ पे आके थोड़ा सा अच्छा फील हो, क्योंकि चाय एक एनर्जी ड्रिंक है। तो उसी तरीके से अगर वो फील करेगा यहाँ पे आके तो बहुत बढ़िया होगा। मुझे तो लगता है कि इसमें बहुत सारा रोज़गार है, क्योंकि अभी बेसिकली अभी देखो कि हम जो अभी चाय बेच रहे हैं तो एक आउटलेट पे हमें कम से कम 10 से 12 लोग लग रहे हैं काम के लिए। तो अभी हम 100 आउटलेट का सोच रहे हैं, तो 1000 से 12 लोगों को 5 साल के अंदर हम रोज़गार देने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। तो हाँ, उसमें रोज़गार मिल सकता है और ये भी देश के लिए बहुत अच्छी बात है। तो हमारे देश के जो प्रधानमंत्री है वो भी चाय बन के इतने बड़े हो गए, तो हम भी उसी तरीके का फील कर रहे हैं कि बाबा चाय पी के हम भी बड़े हो जाएंगे।
एक नया तरह का बिजनेस है ये, और जो आप चाय का बिजनेस बोलते हैं कि ऑल ओवर पूना या ऑल ओवर इंडिया में फर्स्ट टाइम इतना बड़ा आउटलेट चाय के लिए देखा गया है। यहाँ का जो क्वालिटी है, यहाँ का जो पूरा एटमॉस्फेयर है, यहाँ का जो क्राउड है, यहाँ का जो स्टाफ है वो बहुत पॉजिटिव है। यहाँ की चाय की टेस्ट जो है ऑल ओवर पूना में कहीं टेस्ट नहीं मिलती।
इधर का टेस्ट तो बहुत ही अच्छा है और कहीं से भी लोगों को गैदर कर सकता है। वो डेफिनेटली अच्छा कॉन्सेप्ट है कि इतना बड़ा होटल में भी इतने कम प्राइस पे ये लोग चाय दे रहे हैं और इतनी अच्छी दे रहे हैं।
I'm going to go and get myself a cup of tea on that note, and you do the same. But do come back to us. Up next is All You Need to Know. Thanks for watching Bloomberg Quint.